All right. So I just wanted to show you this guiding principles little presentation. This is our foundation. Notice it's a kind of a tripod, which is very stable. And let me just show you how these go together. So I call these guiding principles because this applies to literally everybody. There is nobody that this does not apply to. Okay? And that is, we're going to teach organization and activation to everybody. Okay? If you were teaching kids or seniors, if you were teaching somebody who was injured or a high performance athlete, you would be teaching them organization and activation. That's what we do. And that's just basically 3 activations, like we could talk about okay, well, when your leg is in the air behind you, you intuitively know that you have to rotate in a different direction to create stability when your leg is in the air. You would know that, because if you didn't, you'd kind of go into your softer corner. We could kind of workshop on that if you want, but it's really those 3 basic activations. Again, I went through a very long process of testing and retesting before I decided, okay, we just need to talk about 3 basic activations, and then we can, give some other layers on that. These are the ones that people need to know, because, when your hand's on the floor, when your foot's on the floor, that's when you need to know how to connect it to your core, We are body, if hands and feet are on the floor, we need to connect the body as one piece. If we're side bending and standing, we need to have the body operating as one piece. That's just how it is with what we do in yoga, because it's a body weight practice. So that's our foundation. From there, we go to order of progression, right? Which again is in terms of logic and the next layer of complexity. This is the next thing, because you could almost be injury-free even if you didn't know how to organize and activate. If you followed the order of progression and prioritized stability first, you would probably still get, I don't know, maybe 75% of the benefits that you would get if you also used if you weren't using organization and activation. Organization and activation just increases efficiency, progress, and injury proofness, so much. I mean, it changes so much. But the order of progression, stability, strength, mobility, is again, it's if people operated by this principle, they would make faster progress, and they would rarely get injured, unless something came out of them unexpectedly, or something came at them, they got knocked over, something. So that is our next, pillar. And then how do we, that's our basic foundation. We operate with that every day. And then what about moving forward? So safe challenges, right, that are going to move us forward, making progress. Well, we're going to use our breath, right? We're going to watch the breath, because that will tell us when we kind of own our position, or if we're moving into a realm where we do not have control, we're not well coordinated, we're not keeping it together. Our breath is going to be the thing that we'll notice immediately, especially if we're in the practice of observing the breath, which, we would have been doing with the other 2 pillars as well. And then we're using the SAID principle, right? We come to understand specific adaptations to impose demands. We realize that, okay, well, if I want to get stronger here, I have to provide a certain amount of stimulus. And, that is appropriate to the stage that I'm at, and the kind of progress that I want to make. Do I want to get stronger right now, or do I just want to maintain my stability and get that really solid? Or am I ready to start working on my mobility, and understanding what's the right stimulus to create that kind of adaptation. And then we work with progressive overload. So that is, that is essential to making progress safely. But again, if we just took these, like, okay, well, let's just work on the breath is going to demonstrate to you, understand the SAID principle, use progressive overload, but we're not doing these other two things, then I don't think the efficiency is there. I don't think the kind of guaranteed outcome is there. Like, these other two pillars are just too important. And then, there's just like this cyclical relationship that starts to happen between these three pillars where, as I say, they apply to everybody. And this, again, as a movement, a yoga teacher, somebody who is leading people in movement, you need to feel secure in what you're teaching is not going to do harm, and that you are going to help people get stronger, help people be more stable, help people have more command and control of their body. Right? You need to know that. That a lot of yoga teachers have to live in the knowing that they don't know that. And they're out there teaching classes every day, and they don't know what the outcome of the things they're teaching is going to be. Like, that is a horrible feeling. So, you need to have a strong foundation under you. And this is the foundation. Now, I'll go to the next slide. We've got this box at the bottom, but it's sort of built out into there. This is sort of the result. Okay, we have these three pillars. We keep these in mind as we move through the practice, as we decide on a group of practices or a workshop or a series of some kind. That's what our three pillars are. And, the guiding principles apply to everybody, as I already mentioned. Doesn't matter if you're bendy or stiff. Doesn't matter if you're injured or disabled. You're always going to work in this order. And doing that improves the following: stability, proprioception and balance, strength, range of control, injury proofness, and you're developing movement habits and strategies that transfer to other activities. And then that gives you the ability to learn new postures and skills. And again, this is not an exhaustive list. This is just the basic guarantees that you can expect from working with that foundation. Now, to be honest, if you weren't in this training, if you came from the movement science world or the training world or whatever, you would probably you wouldn't know about these basic activations. Well, you would be aware of them, but it wouldn't be as a system. It would be like, well, with this exercise, you do this, and with this other exercise, you do that. Like, there would be ways of doing exercises that improve efficiency and joint position, but they don't talk about it as a system. Like, they talk about it usually per exercise or per similar groups of exercises. I hope I'm not getting too deep in the weeds here, but you wouldn't be introduced to this as in the way that I've done it. Like, again, this was a distillation process, and yeah, everybody in the training world understands the importance of stability, but they may say, yeah, you need to have stability, strength, and mobility. They might not even put it in that order. They might just say, yeah, they're all very important. You know what I mean? But I'm telling you, this is the order. And honestly, it's because I've seen what happens when you don't put it in this order in the yoga world. Also in the training world, because I come from the training world, but I've been able to observe these diametrically different worlds and seeing this play out. And then, of course, yeah, like, they all know about the SAID principle. They all know you need to breathe properly. They all know progressive overload, but no one has done this, created like a 3-pillar system, rendering this down to the simplest, most basic, most essential concepts that you need to know. So that is the power of this particular system. This is why you can guarantee these results.
And not done it for yoga. I was so
Yeah.
confused until because I come from that world. I know those things because of the other courses I've taken, but to apply it then to yoga, I was like, oh, right on. This is great.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of like having all of the ingredients for a very, an excellent meal, but you need a recipe, right? That tells you add this. If you combine these two ingredients together, there's a chemical reaction that happens, which makes the outcome a little fluffier. And that's, you know what I mean? It's important to prioritize the concepts. So that's what we've done. And then again, guiding principles of activated asana. So if we take this down in chunks, slowly progress students toward achieving high performance aging, skillful movement, whatever we want to say, right? It could be toward achieving better coordination, could be, to getting stronger for your sport, or, toward full recovery after an injury or surgery, like whatever you want to advance. I mean, it doesn't have to be down to skillful movement and high performance aging. Those are two things that are achievable with these basic activations and this three-pillar process. Okay, so again, order progression. Again, we have to develop capacity in this order. So I don't know, maybe I'm going over stuff that we all know, right? We all know these things, you guys. This is what we're doing here. But I just want you to understand, like, this is very, very powerful. It's very different. Like, other yoga teachers are not talking about this. And they even after many, many years of training, nobody can assure them that the things that they're doing in class are not going to turn out to be harmful. Right? Because we don't know that until something breaks or something falls apart or whatever, right? So, that's the reality, right? Of the world that we're operating in, which is, the yoga world. There's lots of very important aspects of yoga. I mean, just the personal development part of yoga, I have lots and lots of respect for. I also apply these kind of principles to personal development as well. Because again, I do feel like physically we're just a reflection of what's going on at a deeper level. So, all of these things are respectful, except for hand to core, foot to core, body is one piece, but the awareness of yourself, the interoceptive experience of I am, is basically body is one piece. Your sense of wholeness, completeness, oneness with yourself and with Ishvara, understanding that is in you. That is body is one piece, like body, mind, spirit is one piece. So that's that concept. And, I think stability is a very important concept in yoga. The stable seat, right, of meditation. It's that stability perhaps that we can observe on the outside, but it's really the inner stability. And it is the inner stability that you end up working on in asana. It has an apparent physical stability, but again, that's just a demonstration of the inner stability. That, and what does that require, right? Awareness, breath, presence. And strength is merely bringing more discipline into that, more staying power, steadfastness. And the mobility is like, again, it's like discipline there's a process of discipline that feels restrictive or confining or something at first, but in the end, it sets you free. So that's kind of the mobility, right? Because you are strong now. Like discipline strengthens you, right? And then you can let go of the constraints of discipline because you're not going to fall apart. You have a strong center. You can move in all kinds of directions. And I'm not talking about necessarily physically here. I mean, like spiritually, you can investigate, you can explore, but not lose yourself. You know what I mean? Like, because people can lose themselves doing spiritual work. We see it all the time. People get into cults and things, and that is you need to have that inner stability and strength to not abdicate your personal spiritual authority. So that is an inner process as well. And then if we move on to the safe challenges, this is where we start to cycle back upward, right? We reach a certain point over here with the order of progression. We kind of, I guess, get solid here. We develop, we expand, and then we're ready for a new challenge. And again, this is spiritual, physical, it's all the same. We start to challenge ourselves, observing the breath, using the SAID principle and progressive overload. And, we make small incremental changes until we start to expand, and then we're back to, the cyclical evolution, like where we as human beings are physically and spiritually like spiraling upward, in a continuous upward spiral, if that is our choice to do so, right? Not everybody is sees themselves as being here to do that. They see themselves as here to do other things, and that's fine. But yeah, I just want you guys to, I guess, have confidence in this foundation that we're building together and have fluency and commitment when you talk about it. So I hope I'm helping a little bit with that. Yes, go ahead, Wendy.
I just want to say that this makes so much sense to me. I love the visual because I haven't gotten that far in the program to where it is. But what I'm recognizing is how this is all becoming part of my life off the mat. Like, it's really crazy. Like when I stand somewhere or push into something, I'm constantly, feeling this hand to core or my feet or my body's one piece when it's slippery outside, and then the whole strength. But I'm starting to dream this stuff, but it's really sort of morphed into my off the mat world because I'm feeling it and understanding and seeing how much value it is. So yeah, I don't know. I had the impulse to share that.
Thank you so much.
I just love it.
I honestly, I love how you wear your heart on your sleeve, Wendy. It's really awesome. Yeah, appreciate it so much.